small but overwhelming in worth. Oh, yeah, yeah. Trinidad is my land, and of it I am proud and glad. But I can't understand why some people just talk it bad. But I know all of them we running them out. Don't know where they're talking about. They would paint you black every day, and the right things they would never say. Like our sportsmen being rated among the best. Our scholars have sit and passed every test and put us right alongside the rest. But then our pitch lake is the greatest one of its kind. Our sugar and oil is really refined. So you see, friends, this is a real piece of no man's mind. They just talk some nonsense. Me ain't know where they're doing it for. About so much violence, man, you would swear that we fighting war. Of course, we have we delinquents to face, but just like any other place, look, the things that I say about here is really too much for me to bear, because my people are daily making progress without any form of stupidness, and in this way we must gain success. For when we move in, we all move as one body, no bickering between you and me. For our policy stands for racial equality. Now when a stranger spending a little time in this lovely isle, every day you see him, he always have a hearty smile. When his time is up to depart, he would say with pride in heart, I'll be back, you could bet your life. And if I can't come, I will send my wife. And then he'll tell you he really wants her to come to drink some rum and have plenty fun in this great island in the sun. For Trinidadian, as foreigners to recall, it doesn't matter whether big or small, or if you're rich or poor, friends, we cater for one and all. So all of them we're talking, they either drunk or they're steering mad, or maybe they forgetting if the universe belongs to Trinidad. And yet we have men of talent and skill, with high hopes of improving still. And if you think all this is a lie, the mighty sniper will tell you why. Now our steel band is the best talent in this world. Like calypsos or stories are told, which is written to touch your soul. So Trinidad, this lovely land of my book, small but overwhelming in worth. And as you know, Carnival is the greatest frolic on earth.
Yes, indeed. Of course, a pleasant good night to all and sundry. Yes, in the background, I am listening from the steps of our, let's say, studio on George Street. I'm seeing, of course, the, let's say, the exuberance of the people and their enthusiasm for spectacles such as those the lightings of those sparks from the various displays as far as the fireworks are concerned. There's a term for it I'm trying to get in the meantime, but of course, simply put, fireworks. And I think it appears that they have outdone it this time around, because it's lasting longer than I would have expected, or as usual from my experience. We would stop, of course, from on top of the hills and look down into the savannah. Of course, here on George Street, we are 1 story high, so and there's a back step that we can, of course, see the lights of the fireworks lighting up that. Is it tectonic display or word, a word I can't articulate at this point in time, but I'll get it during the course of the program. But nonetheless, of course, we are here, and of course, we must be nationalistic at the same time. Well, I thought I should put up in the background, of course, the whole question of the national flag, but most importantly, the symbol that is of much controversy these days, and of course we are going to look at that on this occasion as well, having regard to the fact that today is Independence Day. I trust that you had an incident-free one, and formally let me say a pleasant good night to all and sundry, east, west, north, south, central, our friends in Tobago, and wherever you are streaming in the world, by pleasant good day to you. Yes, this is the corridor transformation, and of course the Saturday night, or should I say Independence Night edition. Of course, in Trinidad and Tobago, we have two major celebrations signifying our what I consider to be our political milestones. They are really political milestones. 1962 independence, and of course in 1976 when we became a republic. Subsequently, when we had thrown off, of course, all the shackles of colonialism, etc. Of course, this prime minister seemed not to be satisfied. He said, "Well, listen, the three ships on the emblem that was identified by those who fought for independence, Eric Williams, Capildeo, as the symbolic representation of the people's wishes to become independent and divorced from our colonial past in the let's say in the practical sense, but of course history and otherwise will not allow that to be forgotten or erased, and therefore, of course, there are some elements that we will have to retain, including, of course, that of history. Of course, this prime minister seemed to take one item, the ships that are on the emblem, and try to, of course, what I see. And of course, not putting it past this man and idiosyncratic of him. That is to say, for political reasons, he wants to, of course, deflect attention away from the poor performance of his government, and believe that he could hoodwink and deceive and gaslight the people by, of course, engaging in some kind of what I consider mental exercise, emotional exercise, so that the population would feel that they have an obligation to be more nationalistic by replacing the ships with the steel pan. But more significantly, he is hoping to wage an argument that for those who would oppose, such as, of course, the opposition, wanting, of course, a more what I consider to be inclusive and more generic, if you want to call that, symbol or symbols, such as maybe the Tassa drum and the steel pan, for example, as a classic exemplification. Because after all, the most highest award in this country, the Trinity Cross, was in fact, should I say, withdrawn as a consequence of that very debate. But of course, this one is much more what I consider to be nuanced and much more involved and embroiled in sinister and should I say ulterior motives, not for the general good, not for the genuine general good, but for a political organization, the PNM, under Prime Minister, who clearly not only has lost his way, but has betrayed the very people that he's now trying to include to generate this kind of what is typical of him, to generate not just debate, but to racial bait. Yes, racial bait, because he expects that a section of the society would say no to the pan, and therefore the African community will, of course, rise up, so to speak, in defense or against anyone attempting so to do, and therefore gain sympathy at the polls. But I want to tell him that and God face he would not see, and that of course a pink donkey. Of course you are hearing, I'm sure, all of the noise in the background, that fireworks display that is taking place not too far from us, just about if it's a kilometer is much, but a kilometer and maybe a kilometer and a half from us, so that if the items are skybound, it means therefore it's very, very visible. Here, of course, a person in Caroni, maybe Superior, etc., will not be able to see it, but certainly not even in San Juan, because of the mountainous region that comes between San Juan and Port of Spain, and of course in that mountainous region is of course nestled Laventille, East Port of Spain, etc., on the hinterland or on the plains adjoining, of course, Port of Spain. So if you know the geography, you'll understand what I'm saying. If not, well, of course, I trust that I did justice to the description that I would have given. That being as it may, of course, once again, welcome to the corridor transmission. Of course, we are going to be looking at the whole question of the national emblem, it being, of course, a topical issue placed, of course, on the agenda by this administration, but at the same time noting all of the nuances or all of the deflective arguments that would have generated the reason why Rowley had chosen this. Of course, I understand that he is on some kind of medical exercise abroad. I thought he would have stayed here and utilized the local medical facility, having regard to what the Alsing has been saying, and he himself, that he would have shown patriotism on this occasion by staying in Trinidad, having regard to the fact that he has to do that on the occasion of one of our significant milestones, and that is to say, of course, on the holiday of independence, or the Day of Independence as celebrated. But that being as it may, let's go back to the music.
Trinidad is my land, and of it I am proud and glad. But I can't understand why some people are talk it bad. But I know all of them we running them out. Don't know where they're talking about. They will paint your black every day, and the right things they will never say. Like our sportsmen being rated among the best. Our scholars have sit and passed every test, and put us right alongside the rest. But then our pitch lake is the greatest one of its kind. Our sugar and oil is really refined. So you see, friends, this is a real thing, Solomon's mind. They just talk some nonsense. Me ain't know where they're doing it for. About so much violence, man, you would swear that we're fighting war. Of course, we have we delinquents to face, but just like any other place, look, things that I say about here is really too much for me to bear, because my people are daily making progress without any form of stupidness, and in this way we must gain success. For when we move in, we all move as one body, no bickering between you and me. For our policy stands for racial equality. Now when a stranger spending a little time in this lovely isle, every day you see him, he always have a hearty smile. When his time is up to depart, he would say with pride in heart, I'll be back, you could bet your life. And if I can't come, I go send my wife. And then he'll tell you he really wants her to come to drink some rum and have plenty fun in this great island in the sun. For Trinidadian, as foreigners do recall, it doesn't matter whether big or small, or if you're rich or poor, friends, we cater for one and all. So all of them we're talking, they either drunk or they're staring mad, or maybe they forgetting Mr. Universe belongs to Trinidad. And yet we have men of talent and skill with high hopes of improving still. And if you think all this is a lie, the mighty sniper won't tell you why. Now our steel band is the best talent in this world. Like calypsos, our stories are told. With this written to touch your soul. So Trinidad, this lovely land of my book, small but overwhelming in world. And as you know, Carnival is the greatest frolic on earth.
But of course, a few years later, of course, this is what the late Black Stallion had to say about our portrait of Trinidad, as sung previously by the mighty Sniper. I trust that you can hear.
Not what we used to be.
Yes, indeed.
How much it hurts, but one must agree. From 1965 to now, we are no more great. Our country has vast.
A contradictory and opposing
no more
view.
Our students ranked among the best. No more our scholars passing every test, but dropping out from school every day in this island. No money to continue their education. Our pit slick is the greatest the world has seen. Yet roads here are the worst in the Caribbean. So don't bow down your head, brother, don't feel bad. I'm only painting on you. Portrait of Trinidad.
Yes, indeed. And that is what we have today, no doubt. What was as opposed to what is.
Regardless of your color, your class or race, long ago down here you must find an equal place. We had our crime and our delinquent problem, but like any other country that we had then, those days went on, we people run them out. Sniper asked them where the hell that they're talking about. But nowadays when they talk, we can't see the light. Our delinquent and crime problem has gone sky high.
Wow.
Every day you pick up your newspaper, you could read the wholesome youth for marijuana. Shooting and thieving is really disgusting. That a shame to admit that this thing happened. With revolution and race talk, my country is filled. Today I live under a sedition bill. I'm only conscious of my place and not going mad. I'm painting over the portrait of Trinidad. Foreigners who return and visit our island is shocked at our present situation. This same man had invited his wife to come to see Tobago and drink our local rum. Those were the days when no care whether big or small, whether rich or poor, we catered for one and all. But nowadays the thing changed up entirely. Is you see about you and I see about me. Now in Tobago, them fishermen dying with grief. No more they taking tourists to Boca Reef. And if you ask them why, they gonna tell you flat. It's them big hotel owners controlling that. Even the scarlet ibis bird that they had around on Boca Reef, they start dying out one by one. I'm only conscious of my place and not going mad. I'm painting over the portrait of Trinidad.
indeed. Yes, indeed. Of course, once again, pleasant good night to all and sundry, East, West, North, South, Central, our friends in Tobago, and wherever you are, streaming on the World Wide Web, a pleasant good day to you. I thought it was important, of course, to bring back some memories as to some of the golden days of yesteryear, and at the same time bring us to where we are today. And of course that was splendidly delivered by, of course, none other than the late Black Stalin, while of course where we were in yesteryears was rendered in song beautifully by, of course, the mighty Sniper, all of whom are not with us, but of course the facts of Trinidad and Tobago today are still with us. Of course, I thought on this Independence night, what should I do? Of course, we have to talk about the emblem and the attempt by this government to sully it. But of course, we also have to generate, I say sully, because of course they would say that the intention is to improve, and that of course to divest all the last vestige, or I don't know how it is possible, of our historical past, when in fact if we are to write, the revisionists, even the revisionists will say that this revision of history is a fake, is a false, because of course Christopher Columbus did in fact rediscover the islands. Yes, indeed. Of course, the fact of the matter is that the Western world clashed with the New World, so to speak. So I talk about Western Europe. Clashed with, of course, or the European continent clashed with the Western world, what is now called the Western Hemisphere, let's put it to be more specific. And of course, the winners turned out to be the Europeans, because of course the native Indians, the first people, were in fact crushed to almost extinction. Sorry, not distinction, but extinction. And that is the distinction between extinction and of course distinction. But the fact of the matter is that that over time created, of course, a population, the mix of which has caused Trinidad and Tobago to be what is now called a cosmopolitan country, with, of course, respect for, by and large, our ethnic origin, the people's origin, of course, respect for religious heritage, and of our cultural heritage in this one place. And of course, coming out of that, we developed a common culture, in which, of course, is steel band and calypso. And of course, we know now that steel pan is now given the prominence that it ought to have. But there are some arguments that suggest that it is not a sincere and honest attempt to really divest ourselves of our colonial past. And we will discuss that tonight. A pleasant good night. Welcome.
Hey, LENNOX.
Hey, a pleasant
good night to you.
Yes.
To everybody on the live.
Yes.
Happy Dependence Day.
I hear you, my friend.
LENNOX.
Yes.
These people and them fighting on this fella who just call a program in a KFC. You hear what they doing?
What do him?
Wherever Granty was getting, the cut it.
What's his name? Who is that?
Yeah. A fella who just call KFC, who just call a program and ball fire, burn the PNN.
Well, I'm sure he's going to call and let us know. All right, okay. But not. It is not surprising to me, because I have been the victim of that as well. These fellas believe that somehow they own the resources that they misuse and abuse as if it's their private parlor. So I'm not surprised. Of course, thank God their days are numbered, and it's just a matter of time before blue lights and silver bracelets. That I could assure, and I could tell them, put it in a pipe and smoke it, because nobody will countenance this nonsense that they have evolved into, and believe that somehow they could get away unscathed. But go ahead, my friend.
So, LENNOX.
Yes.
So a few days ago down in San Fernando, they were Iowa George High boat down by the wharf there.
Yes.
They decimate this man waterfront. And LENNOX, you know is the surprising part?
Tell me.
None of the news or outlets and bring across that news, you know.
It was only on social media because I got it. I got it from
Only on social media, Lennox.
of
Lennox,
course.
if you see police, army, men in khaki, you can swear say some big drug bust that take place there in Sando.
Mm-hmm.
One of my neighbor tell me she witnessed everything.
Wow. Well, I could imagine
And
how
this thing
humiliating
in me,
this
and
man
this
is.
thing in made the news in Lennox.
Yeah. Yeah, they are attempting their best, but of course, like tonight, for example, look, a lot of people will now know if they didn't know before because they can't stop it. You see, they are living in a kind of anachronistic environment where they are nestled in the past. They are they are obsolete in that regard. They are irrelevant in that regard. They are ocious in that regard, and they will see the wrath of the people. Notice what is happening or what has happened in Nigeria, for example, and in other parts of the African continent because they're using social media and there is no leader to identify so that they could pounce upon, and so they are able to, of course, effect the change that is required, and of course, put those despotic individuals who would want to emasculate people's rights and their privileges and their resources, their share of the resources of the country, not to be dictated by that small group of oligarchs or miscreants or what I consider to be dictators or totalitarians. Go ahead, my friend.
So Lennox, you see the people and them are supporting the PNM.
Yes.
You know it have an old saying, gratefulness is worse than obia.
Yes, ungratefulness, yes.
Yesterday, Lennox, I had a little special on the road.
Mm.
Normally the fee is $6 to travel. I
Yeah.
take $3 from everybody.
All right.
This gentleman jumped in my car yesterday morning.
Uh,
So I turn around and I tell him, I say, here what I say, Uncle, here what going on? I say this morning I have a little $3 special due to the holiday today now.
right.
So everybody paying $3 to go down the road.
Good.
You know what this ungrateful man turn around and tell me?
Yeah.
Why it can be for free? I say, but this man is a PNM. These people and them, something wrong with these people and them. But that man lucky I was in my old self and according to you, I tell him more I make him, you know.
Yeah, yeah,
But
yeah,
I
yeah.
pull myself
Yeah.
together and I say, boy, that is the devil at work right there. I say, Uncle, you enjoy your day. Right? You enjoy your day. And I leave him like go away.
Yes,
But I
yes.
want to say this before I go.
Go ahead.
KFC, if you're listening, I go take up the charge too for I burn this wicked, evil, satanic, demonic PNM government. Nocturnal listening.
Yes, my friend. Yes, my friend. And you have a right to be angry. We continue to be angry until, of course, the day itself. Not until that day, but after that day, because you have to be angry up until you put that X against the UNC's symbol, and at the same time, and don't forget the UNC symbol in the polling station. Why you're seeing it all colorful, yellow, and so on? You'll only see black and white, yeah, because they claim that they don't have money to make the symbol in them colors. So not because you're seeing it black or in black and white, you will of course believe that it has been disfigured or is not there. Yes, it's there. And that is something that very simple but very significant because some people may say it's common sense will let you know the difference, but unfortunately on that day people get confused. So that is one we intend to of course eliminate in terms of confusion. So on the day itself, of course, don't forget the symbol on the ballot paper will be printed black, right? Black and white. The ballot paper will be, and of course all of the symbols will be that. You just put your X against the symbol of the UNC, still resplending, or still in the attempting, of course, to make bright that dark color that you will see it in on the ballot paper. That being as it may, I think it's important as well to let us take a look at the flag. Let us take a look at the emblem to get our original sense. Because see, there's a point that I'm making. If we're only in 21st century Trinidad and Tobago, and after what after all these years of independence, and of course the party that brought us the independence and the republicanism, and now of course attempting to change the symbol is the PNM. Um, I wonder. I am wondering whether or not the founding fathers of the independence of Trinidad and Tobago, the founding fathers, not the founding, um, should I say, persons of the country or the physical space, but certainly the political entity called Trinidad and Tobago and independence, whether or not it is not disrespect by Rowley to people like Eric Williams. Is it a disrespect? Maybe I should pass it off as a question. Is it a disrespect to Eric Williams to, of course, now want to change that after he gave us the country's motto? We going to change the motto too, and so on and so forth. I would love to hear that debate, because he seemed to be a respecter of no person. But again, I believe that whole gesture is it is a one-stop shop to, of course, among other things, to generate race baiting, because he believes that somehow the Indians will be in disagreement, and therefore he could drive a wedge between the Indians and the Africans to, of course, gain power, and therefore unmeritoriously stay there to do us evil. But let's go to the lines. A pleasant good night. Welcome to the corridor.
Pleasant good night, Lennox.
Yes.
And I should do like your first call and say, I can't say happy independence because we are not independence. We are not emancipated. We have not arrived.
That's right.
Right? We're still in the process.
Yes.
We are still in the process.
Yes.
And I agree with your first caller, right? Lennox, here now. You know, sometimes I have to wonder what caused people, or I shouldn't wonder, I should know, to put Keith Rowley, to take God out of their thoughts and put that man as Prime Minister of this country. But it was his lies. It was his lies, his half-truths, his innuendo, and his propaganda. And he's still pushing it. And as you rightly said there just now, you understand? He playing with the steel band men and them.
Yes.
He playing with them. Because Lennox, look at how long that was disrupted, and they never said a word. But they came on the ground report with a pity party. Where are their voices now? Keith Rowley know that he cannot come with any two banana. What the crap that he was coming with all the time.
Of Trinidad
he know
and
he can't
Tobago.
come with that again. So now he tried to use the steel band men and them now. That is what he's trying to do now, right?
Yes,
Use
indeed.
the steel band men and them. But I waited to see if they don't have enough sense to know that Keith Rowley using them. Suddenly he loved them. Suddenly he loved them, Lennox. Sorry about that. Yeah. But you could fool people for so long. You can't fool them all the time.
That's right.
People going to get sense. People going to get sense. I don't know what is wrong with the people in this country. Look at what it is going on.
These are
And all they can't wise up yet to see that this man don't care. But you see, because he looking like them, they had to support him. Because Lennox, that's what this be saying. He looking like we, so we had to support him. And Mugabe was looking like them too. That next one, Hitler, was looking like them too. What is wrong with these people? Lennox, I am so ashamed. I am so ashamed. And look at it after 62 years of independence.
Yes.
Look at the state that we are in. We are not independent. We are not. Some people cannot afford a meal when the day come.
Yes, so true.
Yeah. And you always celebrating. Celebrating what? What is there to celebrate? But Lennox, I just hope people wise up, People wise up. And it was the time, 10 to 9?
Yes.
10 to 9. Well, Mikey gave them until 12 o'clock tonight.
Okay.
Mikey give them until 12 o'clock tonight.
Yes,
Either you get on board, or you get off. And I agree with him. Either get on or get off. We don't want to hear the stupidness.
Yes,
We
indeed.
fed up with the stupidness now. Because there's too much nonsense going on in the country. And PNM getting away with it, Lennox.
They would
PNM
think so.
getting away with it.
No, they would think so. That is ephemeral. That is temporary.
It's true.
Hitler thought
Yeah,
so
it's
too.
true. That's only
Mussolini
temporary.
thought so. And not so. Saddam Hussein thought so in
Yeah,
Iraq. Yeah, so,
yeah, it's true.
that
It's
is
true.
temporary, yes.
Yeah, yeah. And then they show them who had the power.
That's right. Ultimately.
And as I said, as I said before, Lennox, I've been talking to a lot of people, and you're hearing them state, they're telling you that they're just waiting for that election
Yeah,
bell to ring.
That's all. That's what is
I said,
happening. You know that.
yeah, I said, I just hope that when the election bell ring, all you go and get Kit Rowley out of office. You hear? Get him out of office. We don't have to hit these streets again, because from the time you hit these streets, they're ready for you. They're
Yes.
tear gassing you.
Yeah,
Whoever believed Lennox, whoever believed in this day and age, we would have been tear gas.
Yeah. Or use government to silence, use the police
Yeah.
enforcement to silence the people in peaceful but legitimate
Yeah.
protest. You're doing nonsense.
Yeah.
You're doing
And then
shit.
only
Get the hell out. That is what
and then only want to celebrate independence.
Yeah.
We shouldn't be celebrating independence because we are not independent. Imagine after 62 years, Lennox, people still can't get water. We have how many murders? More murders than days in the year.
I have another caller on the main system. Yeah. Go ahead, Miss Santa Cruz.
More murders than days in the year.
Yes.
22 babies died in NICU. As who Michael always referred to it as the government abattoir.
Yes.
22 babies died, and all is celebrating independence. You didn't see them on Independence Square. That is what they like, Lennox. Wet them down with water and fat and Karen, and that is what they like. Other than that, they're not standing up for anything in this country. But you know what? We will stand up with that voting finger. We will stand up. Let them, people could do what they want, Lennox, but not for how long they want. Not for how long they want. And it has to come to an end.
Of course.
This cannot continue forever. Lennox, imagine, look at the condition. I have a friend that goes to the San Fernando oncology clinic. Lennox, she said, if you see the condition of that clinic, the dilapidated condition of that clinic,
it seemed to be universal.
Especially with the pigeon dropping.
It seemed to be universal, even if the facility is relatively new. The way how patients are being handled, and the way how people are strewn like pieces of paper all over the facility. I suppose the stench and all of the scent of death, I'm sure, are all part and parcel of it.
And Lennox, the pigeons too, right? The girl says she don't even want to sit down. She don't even want to drink water or anything inside of there. The place is so nasty, and we celebrated 62 years of independence, but Rowley could jump on an aircraft and go away to get his treatment. But we must stay here and face all of that. We must face all of that. And then all is celebrating independence, all they jumping up in town because they were throwing water and things for you. All they can't even get water to bathe when the day come. But look at all in downtown Port of Spain with the water.
Yeah, well, it's only certain elements will now, gravitate to that. I told night before that people should use their discretion, stay away from that as a form of protest, their own protest.
No, well, some people like that.
Been able to get an evaluation, of really and truly whether the turnout was one that that could considered to be extraordinary or just ordinary or subordinary, but that is yet to be analyzed. But people generally, from where I sit here on George Street, I didn't see much activities gravitating to that. I saw much of it. People were gravitating to the local pubs and so on, right around, and having a good time.
Right.
They have created
but they won't track Reed Road.
Their own family day and all of that in right on the compound and near the streets and so on. So that is what I have seen. I've seen a gravitation to
That's what you
that
saw,
from
right?
there.
Yeah. But all on social media,
Yeah.
you're seeing it, Lennox.
Okay.
You are seeing it. And then they went today in Independence Day Fest. And tomorrow they're coming to beg you for a cup of sugar and a cup of flour.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
understand?
yeah.
But Lennox, let me tell you something. I can't wish nobody happy independence because we are not happy in this country.
Yes.
It's too many things going on, more murders than this, and the people in authority don't care, and some people like it so.
But let
Right?
me ask you.
Some people
Let
like
me
it so.
ask you before you leave.
Yeah.
The prime minister, by extension, the minister of finance told us that he was boasting that inflation was down, and that we should be proud of that level, suggesting that there is good macroeconomic management and microeconomic management of the society. But suddenly there is now the call for the creation of a committee to look at prices as prices in the society. What do you think of that statement? Is it not
If you
contradictory and has thrown hot and coal and maybe fiery water on that nonsense that inflation has gone down, but yet still you have a committee looking at prices? Why would they create a committee to look at prices? Go ahead.
Lennox, if you cannot dazzle them with brilliance, you baffle them with bullshit.
Very good. Well said.
You see, yeah, if you cannot dazzle them with brilliance, you baffle them with bullshit. And it have a lot of people in this country that love support for bullshit. Thanks a lot, Lennox, and have a good night.
Yes. Thank you very much for that contribution and that final one in terms of your opinion. I too share that too. Bullshit. You have inflation gone down, especially food inflation, and now you have a committee to look. What you go do? You go come back. You go back to price scheduling and so on. Well, Trinidad and Tobago will be the bane of the World Trade Organization if we only go there. You have to find ways and means to reduce it, like Kamala Persad-Bissessar did. She take off VAT, for example, and that would have caused a reduction. But you ain't doing that. But you bring a committee who you're going and pay, who have no teeth, like a toothless bulldog, to just suggest psychologically that somehow you are concerned about prices by going there, by creating that. Hold your tail. A pleasant good night. Welcome, of course, my friend from Tagarigo.
Hey, Lennox, good night. You hear me, good boy?
Yes, loud and clear.
Good boy. I know you keep away from the celebration.
Oh yes. I wasn't around at all.
Tonight on television, Rowdy was there.
Huh?
Yes.
He didn't leave
Rowdy
to go.
was there. Rowdy haven't done it.
Oh, shims. Yeah, good.
And I see David Lee.
All right.
He was here too, but in the front section to Rowdy.
Okay. I'll be calling them for Monday. I'll be calling them in the night, so it will consume some of the period that we have. But we have to be aggressive. We may have to go until 11 o'clock. I don't know, but we'll see how it works. But go ahead.
And here the greatest.
Yeah.
He had sing. Like he went and bring people from Aruka to come in Savannah.
He went to what?
He went to Aruka and bring people to bring them in Savannah. Because they was asking everybody to comment what they think about independence.
Yeah.
And he said it's the greatest thing when you cook it. They will say, ask these people from Aruka 5 Rivers. How we do it from there? He went and bring them in Maxi. Nigeria no code in that Savannah.
I would suspect that. I wanted to get it. That's why I didn't go. I wanted to hear from people what transpired there in terms of the crowd size and all that. Yeah.
But I suppose if the and go tell you about that.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if there was very little.
I think they had no crowd there.
Yeah.
Why is this now? I meet a partner from Grenada 2 days ago. And he asked me, why are they encouraging crime in Trinidad? You don't know what. Say all the government encouraging crime.
Yeah.
And where are they coming from?
Yeah.
I said a lot of fellas have talked that, guys, give it a lot of them.
Yeah.
He only have Smith would have been number of seizures. We're in charge of the Northern Division, a top class police. Right?
Mm-hmm.
And you have Johnny Abraham Lincoln on the sidelines. And you have Ola Christopher and Cool Pot.
Yeah.
Them see what crime? I mean, we have to be somewhere nannies, boy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah? Hey, Smith get a man like Johnny Abraham to work with him. In 2 shakes, all this thing done, you know.
Yes.
But which is insistent to the Coal Pot man, and I see that man reading from a book and talking about his father. See, this my people, LENNOX years ago,
Yeah, go ahead. Just claim my truth there. Excuse me. Go ahead.
Years ago in Ghana, they had a thing called the choke and rob gang. Choke and rob,
Mm-hmm.
choking people and robbing them.
Right.
And that went on for a while.
Right.
How many commissioner of police get vexed over there? I think he was Barker.
Right.
And the police went to the backside.
Right.
LENNOX, in less than 2 months, everything done, you know.
Yes.
Who wasn't dead, badly wounded. You never hear about the choke and rob gang again.
Okay.
So why? No, that was the end of that. They mash up that. Now you have an intelligent man like Smith who they bring from people cry. When that man is, she will have to go, they call me here.
Right.
Right in St. Joseph, they are doing a good work.
Uh-huh.
So why you can't bring back Johnny Abraham? Is bad mind too?
It's all in politics, you see. I mean, it is clear these fellas so petty, so stupid that they will sacrifice the whole country. We have seen that over and over. I mean, they have literally sacrificed Trinidad and Tobago because they want to look good after they did the nonsense. And that is why I'm saying they're looking for reward for doing evil. So they are doing all this evil on top evil, and 2025 they want to get back into office and trying all kinds of what I consider to be underhand and despicable should I say inventions or creations, such as trying to nominations and the evaluation of these nominees in opposition constituency. All of that is part of their nonsense, but they're not going to get away with it. Let them understand they're out and almost forever, as far as I'm concerned.
You what I'm trying to tell you is,
yeah,
you sacrificing a whole nation, a small country like this, right?
Yeah.
But if you have one man who is doing here in St. Joseph, like Smith would have been up, you have nobody else.
This is what I'm saying. But it is unnecessary. It's just as how they did all the nonsense, and then when the Hemisphere and the Americans and the OSSC, what they were doing, and they were pro even when they went to the United Nations, pro Venezuela. In order to neutralize that, they open up everything to those who were here, who weren't here, in order to appease these people after they did that evil. That in itself it turned out to be dangerous for Trinidad and Tobago, and they didn't mind because all they wanted to do was to stay in line with those so that they could survive. They are in a perpetual state of survival mood for their political should I say existence, but they will end up extincting themselves. I should say extinguishing, but extincting themselves like so many different species of animals and insects and so on that no longer roam the earth. That is what's going to happen to them. They're too damn greedy for power.
But here last night too.
Yes.
Catch me, Dolly. Catch me, Dolly, if everything ready for school when it's open. And you say yes, everything is in order. This is why we need Barry Padarato. If everything is organized, if all
yes.
School to go. And she said yes, everything in order. But then here it is. She backtracked one time and said, well, I spoke to the Minister of Health. Right?
She spoke to what?
So she spoke to the Minister of Health.
Yes.
Concerning that. In other words, she taken fame But then she backtracked him because she realized she talked crap. So she bring in the sing anything. In case Monday we're here, 10 school close up. She could say, well, it's not me. So they started to go again to another now.
Yes, yes. And I remember we said that when that started happens, when they start to undermine themselves, they start to fall off the radar, we know what is happening. But I will tell you, she had a rude awakening. Remember, we said that she was going to visit 3 schools that were under construction, one of which is St. George's, a very, what I consider to be iconic school, well known, and a lot of history behind it. Well, when she went there, she got a rude awakening. The parents were waiting for her and tell her that this is shit. Look at what you have done. In fact, one of Andy's daughters was supposed to be going there, and the wife was there, and she was giving me the story this evening. Andy's wife, as to the horrendous and unexpected and embarrassing reception that the minister got. And they didn't tell her anything. All the parents seemed to have been like-minded at the time, even though they would come from different places and they represented different families and different students. But when she went, they understand she had got a harsh reception. Yeah. So I am. She is to send some clips to me, but that would be one of the first interviews on Monday on the ground report with respect to, of course, to the Parent Teachers Association in that particular school, and as to why they would say that the school is ready when in fact it was not. They said all kinds of things all over the place. Construction material, items that they would have used that could, of course, endanger the children if they walk too close or if they only touch it, as the case may be. You know how a construction site is is a shamble of all kinds of different things waiting for accidents to happen.
When you get the copy of the thing with the gun shop for Kojo.
Yeah, I got it. I got it. I have it there, but I think I think to be frank, somebody made up something there. It ain't looking right. So I have not. Whilst I looked at it, I have not, of course, attempted to air it because we don't want to find ourselves being lured by persons who have, who with good intention. That is to say, she's deserving of that. But if it never happened, I don't want her to be saying that it never happened to her. Remember, there was a sexual encounter video that was going around as well, claiming that she is a porn artist because it has someone that was resembling her, and it turned out not to be so. So I don't want to find myself in that, nor the ground report. So we have to be very careful, right? Even though, of course, rejection should be the name of the game across the board, whether it's in Tobago or in Trinidad. We must reject them, and I encourage that. Reject them when they come in front of your doors and tell them, hold the tail. Right? They have done us evil and still looking for sympathy. Get to hell behind Satan. Yeah. All right, my friend.
All right,
yeah.
Okay
then. Yes, bye-bye. Yes, indeed, people. Of course, I have a video on screen that will take us, of course, from there. But again, those of you who mind it, if you call in, if you can, of course, tell me whether or not this fella called Rowley has he disrespected Eric Williams, the founding father of the independent nation of Trinidad and Tobago. He was the first prime minister. And, of course, they carefully looked at the symbols that should represent us, including, of course, our watchword, together we aspire to, together we achieve. And whether or not that is not disrespecting the founding fathers by Rowley coming now and neophyte Johnny come lately, a two-term prime minister, and a new addendum to the PNM, only joined in 1974, And of course, we could do the calculations, and you will see that he's relatively new compared to the sycophants and the diehard. And of course, at one time was diametrically opposed to the PNM and Eric William in particular. I will show you that particular clip tomorrow, where of course he said that he started his political career in NJAC and was diametrically opposed to the PNM and Eric William. Yet still today, he's more PNM than anybody else. I mean, a fella born in Laventille, I would say he's naturally a PNM. So therefore, as far as I'm concerned, I am more PNM than him, having been, of course, born in Laventille. But of course, in that context, but certainly he has been hoodwinking the PNM and the population by extension by saying that given the suggestion that he is a true PNM when in fact he started his political career in NJAC. And of course, he criticizes anybody who moves from the PNM and go elsewhere and then come from somewhere else and come into the PNM. And then, of course, he says that they don't know where they stand, that they're jumping from here to there. I remember him, of course, castigating a former PNM, I think, sports minister from the Toko side, when he said that he don't know where this fella going. But he, Rowley, was a blasted NJAC, end up in the PNM, and of course have this numero uno position, and then of course self-righteous indignation castigating others for of course being in other parties. Hold your tail, you nasty hypocrite. Let's go to the lines. A pleasant good night. Welcome.
Yeah, Mr. Smith, Press Galanya.
Hey, how you going, man?
You hearing me good?
Loud and clear, my friend. Loud and clear.
Right. Yeah, what's going on?
Yeah.
I hear what you're saying about Eric Williams and all them things, and that making sense, because if Williams and them put the ship, and he come and put the pan and all that, I mean, he don't like what them put, so, and it probably just good for he now to do that, and so he go get votes or whatever. Now, me really watching that too, Mr. Smith.
Yeah.
Was saying today,
right.
So today I see people in town following the fire truck and thing.
Yeah.
Right? And then the fire truck started to shoot out water, brand new fire truck and thing. It's like, Mr. Smith, them people and them doesn't see whether they say do have fire truck and they do have thing, and then you see them new thing in front here. So and then you say so like two and two don't put together in your head, like what is the enjoyment that's take over here where you don't even study it or nothing like that.
Yes.
That is why I want to know now, boy, is like how you could see them the telling you do have, and then they're showing you like water to waste, fire truck brand new, everything brand new for independence, you know what I mean? I just wonder, I just what people just be thinking now, boy. You dig?
Yeah. I hear you, my friend. I know you are
right.
Yeah,
I locked on honest.
Yeah, thank you very much. And you're right. And
I locked on honest.
Thank you very much for that contribution. Very sensible contribution. But I want to tell you there's a psychological condition called framing. Framing is a situation where you take an exception, a rare occasion or a rare situation and make it the norm. Make it as though it is universal, like it is plentiful and so on. That's a classic case there. I remember very distinctly when the Alsing came into government and he went to Mount Hope and he saw one bed that had a crank that would of course raise the bed or lower it as the case may be, but it was stitched together with scotch tape and so on. And he came out and said, look, the UNC in building hospitals, new hospitals and so on, and look, it have I saw a bed where the crank was stitched together with scotch tape and so on, and of course suggesting how ridiculous that is and how ironic that is and how lack of priority and so on. But of course, a fellow like me, I would say that if the hospital has let's say 150 beds, and you take one bed, see it, of course, in whatever shape it was in a state of disrepair, and use that to project that all the beds and them are like that, then of course that is a typical case of framing. Don't be fooled by that. But there are people like this PNM will do such a thing. Will of course take one, like take for instance in the Ministry of Youth, for example, when, or even in HDC, 20% get houses, and they make it look as though, of course, it's the whole country, and the backlog of thousands is not taken note of by them, because the intention of that is to project an image that they're doing work, and that at any time you could get yours if you ain't get yours yet. Well, it's the same thing with these training programs. They graduate, or they induct, or they matriculate a few of them, and then of course the media blow it up, and it appears as though you could get your chance anytime. But of course, when one looks at it, 18,000 young people coming out of school just in July there, meeting the another 18,000 the year before and the 18,000 before, and let's be generous here. Let's be generous here. Let's say it's about 15,000. Let's say it's 14,000. The fact is that no way 20 or 30 or 200 training opportunities could put a dent in the thousands that would be, of course, looking for that kind of opportunity. And that is the danger with these people and that kind of approach. So having said that, my friend, and you see how significant your contribution has been, it means, therefore, the new fire trucks that were on display provides them with a propaganda machinery to say, well, listen, new trucks are all over the place. Notice that, and that of course they're working good, and of course and generating an atmosphere of festivity and so on, so that to lure you in a state of complacency and acceptance. Do not be fooled. Do not be fooled. The reality is that the fire service operatives, the ones that are engaging either fire emergencies or any other emergency, and are recruited as specialists, having been trained in that area, are suffering from accommodation, whether it's in Port of Spain or elsewhere, appliances, and we can go on and on. And as a consequence, more property is being destroyed because of the lack of response capability by these very entities that are supposed to be the first responders to emergencies in the society. And of course, that display today of new trucks and so on is a clear case of what framing, that psychological condition called framing. Do not be fooled. This government does not have priority, or put another way, has its priority whopped, and really does not care with all of the monies that would have been spent. We are going to deal with all of the monies and all of the loans and all of the that make up the $500 billion that they have spent over the last 9 years so far. We are going to do that. And we are going to extrapolate and take out, of course, all of the identifiable and practical and irrefutable slush funds, such as the manifestation thereof at Balize House. $100 million. Why she said that the party was bankrupt in 2015. How the hell you get that? Only because you're in government. And if you're only in government and part of the role of the government is to interfere with the cookie jar of the state, it means therefore you stole it. There's no ifs and buts. You stole it. In court, of course, there are basically two types of evidence. You have circumstantial evidence that could lead one to a particular conclusion even though you didn't see it. For example, a fella seen running away from a crime scene with a gun in his hand, And when you look, you see that somebody is suffering from a gunshot wound. You didn't see the fella shoot. He was running away. His back was turned away from the victim. But you can put both of them together and all of the circumstance and say that he was a blasted shooter. But it's the same thing with this situation with Balize House. Rowley will try to tell you no, and of course we have the evidence. The very company that had its container offices on the compound of Balize House is now, and they're trying, of course, to camouflage it, but they can't camouflage it from us. In fact, I'm going to be writing through the Freedom of Information to, of course, HGC to find out more about that contract that company got. I cannot, of course, ask, for example, if that company was the same company that was constructing and on the site of Balize House, but I could damn well ask the question, the name of the company, how much the contract is worth, how much more contracts that company has, you see? And therefore, with the pictures that they would have had, and for political advancement now, I can now say that Rowley, again, has been caught, as he has been so numerous of times that you could forget. And still identify many occasions where he lied about the construction and the funding and those who would have been engaged in the construction of that monstrosity called Balize House. Can't fool us. The evidence is too glaring. And as I said, you have circumstantial evidence, and then you have, of course, the factual evidence where, of course, a person see the person actually pull the trigger, etc., etc., in the example that I drew earlier. But that being as it may, let's get, of course, to this clip that I am playing here on the screen to, of course, let us start the nationalistic fervor that we must have when Rowley and they get out of office, but to get a better appreciation as to what the flag is all about. And then we will turn to, of course, the emblem as well that he has now decided to interfere with, to pollute. And again, of course, I would love you to focus, to ideate to Maul on whether or not is a disrespect to Eric Williams, the founding father of the nation. And he, of course, was responsible for, of course, that particular emblem that represents Trinidad and Tobago in its various form. And of course, not only being the same party, a member of the party, but now that you know that he was a member of NJAC, you could understand why his attitude is so, what I consider to be anti-PNM, if PNM naturals were, of course, in office. No way Patrick Manning would have even contemplated moving that, because it would have been connected to the founding father, Eric Williams. But Rowley is a different fella. He wants to chart his own course. He wants to pretend that he's a maverick, but he ain't no damn maverick. What he is a bloody opportunist, a rapist and a pedophile and a criminal, leading, of course, a criminal gang that he has assembled. I say so without fear of contradiction. Let's go straight, of course, to the symbols.
Trinidad and Tobago is small. This is the national flag of Trinidad and Tobago, a small twin island republic located at the tail end of the Lesser Antilles Islands in the Caribbean, right next to Venezuela. Designed by Carly Chang and raised officially for the first time on the 30th of August 1962, when the Union Jack was lowered and our national flag raised, signaling the end to British rule. A straightforward design of diagonal black and white stripes running across a red background. Simple but yet so memorable. Like most national flags, the Trinidad and Tobago flag has symbolism and meaning attached to it.
But before we go there, of course, you heard what the announcer or the narrator would have said, that the flag represents the what? The divesting of ourselves of our colonial past. And therefore the Union Jack was lowered, the flag of the United Kingdom, and of course our own national flag, red, white, and black, was hoisted on that occasion outside of the Red House on the first Independence Day. So why would we, anyhow, when we get to the symbol, we can make the argument, because Rowley may well want to take away the white from the flag and maybe replace it with probably yellow, I don't know, symbolizing Chinese or something like that. I don't know, because of course white is usually a color that describe, of course, our colonial masters, white men. I don't know, but don't put it be on him. If it suits him politically and he believes that he could get some kind of political tractions, political oxygen to continue to stay there to fool us and to abuse us.
For instance, red symbolizes fire and represents the warmth and energy of the sun, the vitality of the land, and the courage and friendliness of its people. White symbolizes water and represents the sea surrounding the islands, the country's pure aspirations, equality, and our heritage. Black symbolizes earth and represents the wealth of the land and dedication of its people. And here is the correct way to display our flag. On the staff or flagpole, the corner of the flag where the diagonal stripes start must always point to the top of the staff, unless there is some reason for it to be flown at half-mast. It should not be flown at night unless lit with a spotlight. There are many other rules, but just remember to treat it with respect. Because of the colors of our flag, it is no surprise that since independence, red has basically become our national color. With all this in mind, as citizens of Trinidad and Tobago, what does the Trinbago flag mean to us? Every time I see our flag, I feel so patriotic. We might be a small dot on the map, but we make up for it with pure pride and determination. So tell me, what does the national flag of Trinidad and Tobago mean to you? Thanks so much for watching, and I really hope you guys...
Yes, indeed. Of course, that is as far as the flag is concerned. I think the Rowley would be scratching all the grain of hair around his, if he leaves it to grow, around his occipital, and of course on both sides of his both temples on either side of his skull. Yeah, his hair grow, but he don't want to wear a hairstyle like Wade Mark or Dr. Tim Gopi Singh. He figured that he could look more uglier. Well, I could tell him that, I mean, there will be slight difference if he wears that tuft of hair around his head, like, of course, how Wade Mark and Dr. Tim Gopi Singh wears theirs proudly. But he afraid to look in the mirror. With that face he had, and then to have a head of hair like that, I could well imagine the monster that he sometimes visualizes under normal circumstance. And of course, we see that every time he comes and puts his face on television. Lacking, of course, pulchritudinous qualities, meaning that have no beauty. But let's go to the symbol itself, which, of course, is the matter that is of controversial discourse at this point. Yes, indeed. Let me just...
Trinidad and Tobago. The coat of arms. The coat of arms of Trinidad and Tobago was designed by a committee formed in 1962.
Let's go back.
These are national symbols of Trinidad and Tobago. The coat of arms. The coat of arms of Trinidad and Tobago was designed by a committee formed in 1962 to select the symbols that would be representative of the people of Trinidad and Tobago. The committee included noted artist Carla Chang and designer George Bailey. The coat of arms with the accompanying motifs, which represent indigenous features of Trinidad and Tobago, was selected and...
You see, so notice the person who was selected, not known, George Bailey, of course, a beautiful designer. Chang, I think, at the time would have been less known because he might not have been in people's faces because of Carnival. But I'm sure he would have been working in the background. But nonetheless, and maybe has a greater proclivity or tendency to intellectualism, and you wanted to put that as into the mix so that you get what the Trinidad and Tobago would have accepted, and therefore thus the result is the coat of arms that Dr. Rowley wants to destroy or disrupt now. Of course, his selection is someone the public was asking the question, what is the cost? He has not said anything, and when he says that, listen, it is assignment and not a job, not a contract, then it is a contract. I mean, when Rowley tell you to jump, you have to stand up, and when he tell you to close your eye, but you have to open it big and even larger than how it naturally will be, because there is always something sinister. So he's going to say that, and at the end of the day, of course, you hear that person gets a large slice of the treasury and depriving people of some asset, some kind of service, because there is no need whatsoever to change that as a part of divesting ourselves of the colonial past. And notice the flag itself in the first clip showed us that is part of divesting ourselves of it. And of course, you will hear in this clip as well the symbol, just the symbol itself with all its components is an intent to divest ourselves of our colonial past, while at the same time embracing our history. You could have a divestment, or put another way, you cannot have a divestment in this particular context without taking note of your past. You had to be an ass, and Rowley clearly is a compound one as they could ever be, because that argument is not only flawed, it is asinine, it is dotish, and it is fraught with political poison. Yes, political infection. And with Rowley, it's always pernicious, always detrimental to the people. Understand that. Understand that.
Formally agreed to be used as a coat of arms of Trinidad and Tobago in 1962 in a design approved by the College of Arms. The birds represented on the coat of arms of Trinidad and Tobago are the scarlet ibis, the coquelicot native to Tobago, and the hummingbird. The three ships represent the Trinity, as well as the three ships of Columbus. The three peaks were principal motifs of Trinidad's early British colonial seals and flag badges. They commemorated both Columbus's decision to name Trinidad after the Blessed Trinity and the three peaks of the southern mountain range called the Three Sisters on the horizon. The fruited coconut palm dates back to the great seals of British colonial Tobago in the days when the island was a separate administrative unit. The coat of arms includes Trinidad and Tobago's motto, "Together we aspire, together we achieve," which speaks for itself and promotes harmony in diversity or national achievement.
I want you to note, according to the narrator, that the three ships not just represents the Nina, the Pinta, and the Santa Maria. No, it also represents the Holy Trinity. The mountains that Columbus saw, and as a consequence named Trinidad and Tobago along that line. The Holy Trinity And I'm taking note of this because at one time, our highest order of recognition to any citizen would have been the Trinity Cross. And there was a potent and prolific and a very, what I consider to be arguable arguments for its removal based on religious, not just symbolism, but religious practice in this country. And so, having taken all of that into consideration, and our Hindu brothers, who, of course, does not have any part of the Trinity in their religious practices, dogma, and concepts, but a large proportion of the population do. And because, of course, the Hindu religion, or those who practice Hinduism, comprise a large section of the national community and very influential elements, the argument was valid and was made, and therefore the removal of the Trinity Cross and being supplanted by the Order of Trinidad and Tobago was considered to be a settled and more appropriate recognition for outstanding members of the society. Understand that. So, if it is that you are moving the Columbus ships, which by itself is a different connotation as opposed to the Trinity, which may offend other religious, potent, powerful entity in the country, one would have expected that Rowley would have taken that into consideration and having regard to the fact as to how the Trinity Cross was, of course, removed and replaced by the Order of Trinidad and Tobago as the highest award that any citizen in this country can get as a consequence of their contributions. So you will understand why there will be, of course, a pushback against the PAN, where, of course, it is associated with the African community per se. And, of course, other equally large grouping saying, well, listen, we have invented something as well called the TASA or something of that nature, and therefore it should be included as well because we are equal. It is about a symbol for Trinidad and Tobago. That is what Rowley exposed us to, you know. Having disrespected Eric William and the founding father of the party. You see, if another party had suggested that, the PNM could have gotten away at this time. You see, I am very, very, very conscientious or conscious of the sensitivity and the therefore convenience thereof of Rowley when coming to the legacy of the PNM and symbols. You see, when the UNC had decided to either lease out or sell the Chagaramas Convention Center, yes, that is where I'm going. When the UNC had decided to lease or to sell the Chagaramas Convention Center and convert it to a hotel, essentially, Rowley was up in arms. He was irascible. He was uncontrollable. He was upset. He expressed choleric tendencies. He was bitter. Why? Because he felt that the UNC was going to erase a significant symbol of the PNM, not of the country, of the PNM. Of the PNM, you know. Because the PNM, on most occasions, had its major conventions down at that center. He also, of course, simultaneously made the case, and I don't want to be biased here or to not to lay all the cards on the table, so to speak. This is not a PNM program. This is a program of knowledge and understanding and, of course, of objectivity, even though we are in a subjective environment. He made the point that, of course, the initiation of what we call today CARICOM was done and named, the appellation was the Treaty of Chaguaramas, and therefore he felt that it ought not to be dealt with in the way that the UNC had proposed. But mind you, he was more concerned clearly about the PNM symbolism, what that symbolizes, even though he is yet, I think they might have had maybe one, but I don't think that where they're having PNM conventions, they go into big time places such as Napa, not so, or the Queen's Park Savannah, but not at that convention center, because as the UNC would have observed, it was left to deteriorate, it was left to be decrepit, it was left to be run down. But he comes years after the rundown, left in fallow, left in disuse, and saying, but it should not be converted to some kind of other modern and commercial activity, because the PNM reveres it as significant. However, he doesn't use it at all in modern times. But the point I am making here is that here it is. It is a PNM symbol, and he didn't want it broken down, eroded, destroyed, or even renovated for that matter. Outside of course, outside of the architectural design that it would have had to keep its originality, as he did with respect, of course, ironically. And while it is separate, but it is also significant, and to show that the level of hypocrisy this man represents and that he is saturated with. When he took the ironic decision to repair the Magnificent Seven, which in itself is the epitome, is the quintessential exemplification in Trinidad and Tobago and representation of the colonial past. But yet still, he spent a lot of money on that, even taking away young children and the children's laptop, and depriving, of course, the children from getting and parents from getting, of course, even book grants and so on, took that away. Generated an economic spiral that have risen food prices to unlimited degrees. That has happened. These things have happened. And therefore, we have to question why it is that Rowley wants at this stage to, of course, replace the ships with the steel pan. Because the steel pan, clearly the answer is the steel pan represents a one-stop shop for Rowley and his political shenanigans, and we must not be lured. Not for one moment. It has race baiting in it. It has priority intent, believing that somehow the pan, because it is indigenous Trinidad and Tobago, but of a particular ethnic group. The history of the steel pan, except recently, but its early history, had nothing to do with the Indian community in particular. Lately, of course, they would claim, a little later, Jet Samaru and all them. It still does not speak to the attachment, because the Indian community would have gone on to their tassa and, of course, their chutney, soca, etc., and in fact abandoned calypso at one point in time simply because the calypso were turned into a football for the PNM, and of course they were criticizing the Indians, etc., and they are saying, well, why must I pay my money to come and get insulted? Just as how he initially. And it evolved in a similar way, but in a shorter period, just 20 years or 21 years, when they introduced the Calcutta ship, and of course the UNC was wiped out of Tobago all entirely, whether they had their co-party or their colleague party or their cooperative party, whatever you want to call it, in Tobago, they were wiped out. And Rowley was of the glee. He was sovereign in that victory. And he said, I could remember very distinctly how dissembling this man is, how self-serving he is, how egotistic, how narcissistic he is. He said that they went with ships into Tobago, and they give every household food, hampers and so on, and a food card. Yes, he used the food card talk. And not a seat for them, not a seat for the UNC and its colleague in Tobago. Yes. Questioning, but being sarcastic and taunting. Because he was what? Politically saturated with victory. You know, come 21 years later, and he get his ass kicked, right, left, and center, 14-1. Not only did he get pipped and remain silent, but try in quick time to undermine and overthrow the Farley administration. Farley says so, not me. So I cannot be accused of defamation or in any way imputing improper motive. It was Farley who said that. Farley who said, and I'm repeating what he said. No kind of acceptance that they are incompetent, impotent, and the people do not want them. People, of course, don't forget the lines are open, but I'm going to end now. I wanted to stay until 9 o'clock, but I thought it was important to treat with this. So let us go back, of course, to the symbol, how it came about. And, of course, I trust that those issues that I raised as far as the symbol is concerned and the interference by Rowley will have to answer to the rank and file of the PNM. He will have to answer to the sycophants and the diehard, now that they have now become conscious that he is trying, of course, to erase Eric Williams. Erase Eric Williams. And I say you, that he didn't think about that. All he was thinking about was his own political survival as the typical opportunist that he is. Criminal and ill-willed and bad-minded and vindictive. He didn't care about nothing else. But I think what he has done is spit in the sky and it fall in the eye. And he only telling himself a whole set of lie.
These are national symbols of Trinidad and Tobago. The coat of arms, The coat of arms of Trinidad and Tobago was designed by a committee formed in 1962 to select the symbols that would be representative of the people of Trinidad and Tobago. The committee included noted artist Carlisle Chang and designer George Bailey. The coat of arms with the accompanying motifs, which represent indigenous features of Trinidad and Tobago, was selected and formally agreed to be used as the coat of arms of Trinidad and Tobago in 1962 in a design approved by the College of Arms. The birds represented on the coat of arms of Trinidad and Tobago are the scarlet ibis, the coquelicot native to Tobago, and the hummingbird. The three ships represent the Trinity, as well as the three ships of Columbus. The three peaks were principal motifs of Trinidad's early British colonial seals and flag badges. They commemorated both Columbus's decision to name Trinidad after the Blessed Trinity and the three peaks of the southern mountain range called the Three Sisters on the horizon. The fruited coconut palm dates back to the Great Seals of British colonial Tobago in the days when the island was a separate administrative unit. The coat of arms includes Trinidad and Tobago's motto, "Together we aspire, together we achieve," which speaks for itself and promotes harmony in diversity or national achievement. These are our national symbols, Trinidad and Tobago. The coat of arms.
Don't believe in superstars, organic foods and foreign cars. I don't believe in price of gold, that certainty of growing old, that right is right and left is wrong, that north and south can get along, that east is east and west is west, and being first is always best. But I believe in love, I believe in I believe in mommy and dad, and I believe in you.
Yes, people, of course, we have come to the end of tonight's program. I trust that you enjoyed, of course, the arguments. We are going to look at that tomorrow as well. Oh boy, just about when I'm about to leave. Wind up, of course. Let's take this final call. I owe it to that caller. A pleasant good night. Pleasant good night. Welcome. Welcome.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. And then Mr. Lennox.
Hey.
You know, I'm looking at this call and I'm saying here that you're discussing here tonight.
Yes.
And you know the person who is responsible for that never get a black sand, boy. I saw a video of the man, right? On a show called TCN
Okay.
sometime last week or this week here. And the man was saying how that when this idea came about, he said he designed all these things and he never got sent for putting out all our work and thing, you know, and the man has a cell postcard during Christmas time to make some money to mind any family.
Oh, shame.
Shame, boy.
Yes. I must take a look at that and see. Because of course, yes, this Chan fella. Yes.
The man was saying them things. And the reason why the Prime Minister behaving the way he behaved, because he have nothing to show for the 9 years that he's in office.
It's clear.
Right?
It's clear.
And you cannot come for the things that you have done.
Yeah. So he don't mind ripping down what. Yeah. So he don't mind ripping down what Eric William erected, and that is where we're going. Let me hear what the PNM sycophants and them go be saying. That is what he has done there. He don't mind Eric William passing the rush, because he is more PNM than Eric William. That is what he's trying to say. But we will make the argument and put it to the sycophants, put it to the rank and file, and I'm sure that will add to the hatred, to the animosity, to the total decrying of this man who is clearly Satan personified.
Yeah, the man is total miscreant.
Yes.
You can't tell me a man do that kind of work, right? And even today, even in our present generation, you telling me that the man even got black cent for since the inception of independence?
Yeah.
That is what we call evil at the size possible. That is wickedness.
Yeah. But he loved PNM. A blasted and Jack. Blasted and Jack. Go ahead.
One more thing before I go, Mr. Lennox. Listen now. You know, it's a fella called KFC, right? You know, I managed to work in time and hear this same fella call and seeing how yeah, I think he has get some kind of public assistance or some public thing assistance.
Yeah, somebody told me about it. Somebody told me that.
Yeah, boy, I hear the cut off the man, boy. These people and them evil.
Yeah. I want to investigate that. That is something that is
that's something should be investigated. So you telling me because the man getting social welfare, all they have to do that to the man? I mean, who does behave like that?
They believe that the place is theirs. I tell you, Rowley believe the place belongs to the PNM. And mind you, let me just interject a reality here. You take Rowley, Hines, any one of them, and let them form their own party. And nobody fought on them, you know. Nobody fought on them.
Nobody really will vote for them.
It's the exploiting the historical and the what I consider the rank and file and the sycophants and the who traditionally came up, but they are yet to realize that the PNM is not what they know it to be, one, and two, that it is now obsolescent and has no relevance in contemporary Trinidad and Tobago, and it is a threat really to their own existence, their children's existence, their grandchildren's existence, and their great-grandchildren, and the children that are yet to born. That is how dangerous the PNM has become under this fella. What the hell you doing with a party like that? At all in existence.
PNM is a bunch of disgraceful, despicable people.
That's right.
Boy, man. The man say fire burn the PNM, but I say here now, them fellas and them go roast in hell, you know. You see that kind of evil and perpetrating? Them are the answer for them thing, boy.
Yeah.
Boy, fire burn them, boy. I go on, Mr. Lennox.
Thank you.
Have a blessed night.
Believing that they could do that with impunity, that they don't have to account. Let them stop there and feel so. But let's continue towards, of course, making my exit. I want to take an early nap. I have a long day tomorrow in that I have some outstanding work. I have several international organizations to write. I have the AGC, I believe it is, one or two other, yes, AGC for that company that that just got the AGC contract for construction of those high-rise near the the flyover in Port of Spain there, just before you enter South Key. That they had their offices, their containerized offices on the compound of Balize House, and here it is, they suddenly get it, but Rowley is claiming that no contractor connected to, of course, any government. Well, in this case, I don't know if they had before, and they were working on Balize House and have an office there. But what I realized after he said that no contractor employed with the government, inclusive of Jusamco, one of the Junior Sami group of companies, including them, who worked on the basement of Balize House, the same company that constructed that piece of highway that collapsed into the swamp below. So they were working on Balize House while and before it was constructed. They were working before it was constructed, but while they were working for the government, they were, of course, delivering concrete, etc., on Balize House foundation. This new company that was on the compound itself now gets a contract after the fact, after Balize House reached a certain stage. They now have a contract to construct multi-stories near the flyover in Port of Spain there, in John. Yeah. So you see how comprehensive Rowley is, but also it suggests and irrefutably, culpably show where Rowley continues, of course, to try to hogwash, try to deceive try, as Mr. Andrew will say, bullshit Trinidad and Tobago with that hogwash and pretending to be holier than thou, that Satan personified. That was important, of course, to raise that with you as we conclude. We will extrapolate a little more tomorrow.
Don't believe in price of gold, that certainty of growing old, that right is right and left is wrong, that north and south can get along, that east is east and west is west, and being first is always best. But I believe in love, I believe in babies, I believe in mommy and dad, and I believe in you. I was a fool for you, a fool for you. I was a fool for you, I was a fool for you. I thought you'd have called me, baby, just to see you'd be late again. I thought you I was a fool for you, a fool for you. I was a fool for you, I was a fool for you. I thought you'd have called me, baby, just to see you'd be late again. I thought you would care about me, said you were my best friend. Maybe it.
Now people clap their hands. People felt so glad when Sniper paint portrait of Trinidad. But look around today, your eyes may get sore. What Sniper said, we have it down here no more. When a man say we not what we used to be, don't care how much it hurts, but one must agree. From 1965 to now, we are no more great. Our country has valedictorian. No more our students ranked among the best. No more our scholars passing every test, but dropping out from school every day in this island. No more need to continue their education. Our pitch lake is the greatest the world has seen.
Well, once again, people, of course, all the best for the rest of the night. Enjoy yourself, incident-free. We will see each other back here tomorrow night on the corridor transformation. Of course, don't forget Monday, Andy, Mikey, and myself, as we continue, of course, with these and other topics. Have a wonderful once again, rest of the night. God bless, and see you at 8 o'clock tomorrow night.
Regardless of your color, your class or race, long ago down here you must find an equal place. We had our crime and our delinquent problem, but like any other country that we had then, those days when on we, people run them out. Sniper asked them where the hell that they talking about. But nowadays when they talk, we can't see the light. Our delinquent and crime problem has gone sky high. Every day you pick up your newspaper, you could read the wholesome youth for marijuana. Shooting and thieving is really disgusting. That a shame to admit that this thing happened. With revolution and race talk, my country is filled. Today I live under a sedition bill. I'm only conscious of my place and not going mad and taking over the portrait of Trinidad. Foreigners who return and visit our island is shocked at our present situation. This same man had invited his wife to come to see Tobago and drink our local rum. Those were the days when don't care whether big or small, whether rich or poor, we catered for one and all. But nowadays the thing changed up entirely. Is you see about you, and I see about me. Now in Tobago, them fishermen dying with grief. No more they taking tourists to Boca Reef. And if you ask them why, they gonna tell you flat. Is them big hotel owners controlling that? Even the Scarlet Ibis bird that they had around on Boca Reef, they start dying out one by one. I'm only conscious of my place.